Chris Foran, you've made 2 blockbusters in 2 years. I saw you sing and dance a long time ago. Natalie Wood was missing for 4 hours before anyone contacted for help. Why did Robert Wagner stop the captain from searching? Why did his story change? Why did he refuse help when the matter was reopened? New evidence reveals what happened on the boat Splendor after 42 years of secrecy and falsehoods. Hollywood's enigma may be solved. Natalie Wood was born July 20, 1943. Natalia Nikolaevna Zachary was born 1938 in San Francisco. She was raised by Maria and Nikolai, Russian immigrants who fled a terrible existence. Maria hoped her daughter would become a star in America despite their struggles. Natalie started acting strangely at 4 years old when her family moved to Santa Rosa and bought a house. She was noticed by the film crew at a local shot and invited to participate. Though small, her role was noticed. She had a 15-minute scene in Happy Land shortly after. Although modest, these roles drew the eye of director Irving Pichel. Observed Natalie Pichel and maintained in touch with her family for 2 years, always looking for her next big break. Pichel called Natalie's mother to tell her about a job he believed Natalie would be great for. He recommended screening her in Los Angeles. Maria, Natalie's mother, packed up the family and headed to Los Angeles immediately to make daughter a star. Maria's ambition overruled her father's disapproval of this risky decision. She believed Natalie would achieve greatness no matter what. Natalie was 7. Natalie couldn't cry on cue in a dramatic scenario. Her mother shockingly tore apart a butterfly in front of her to make her weep. Tears worked, although it was hard for a small youngster. Orson Welles subsequently commented, "Natalie was so talented it was alarming. She acts from the heart, not the script." Michael and Natalie worked together again in The Bride Wore Boots. She then joined 20th Century Fox and played Jean Tierney's daughter in The Ghost and Mrs. Miracle on 34th Street, 1947, showed Natalie was more than just a gorgeous face. She was a natural performer who could compete with major stars. She played a smart yet cautious little girl who didn't believe in Santa Claus until she met Edmund Gwen, a friendly department store employee who might be Santa. Popularity made the film a Christmas classic. Natalie was a Hollywood star child after the film. She was so famous that Macy's invited her to join their Thanksgiving Day parade, a rare honor for kids. As a minor, Natalie had to study on the studio lot during filming. She had to attend school 3 hours a day until she reached 18 under California law. A plus student, Natalie excelled at arithmetic. On The Ghost and Mrs. Muir 1947, director Joseph L. Amant proclaimed her the smartest youngster he'd ever encountered, but Natalie felt awful since the film crew had to wait for her to finish school every day. She ran to the set as soon as her teacher let her go to save time. Natalie's life sounds wonderful, yet she had to. Their workdays could last 12 hours, 6 days a week. Despite their emotional and physical hardship, no one seemed to care. All that mattered was camera performance. Rebel Without a Cause impacted Natalie Wood's life in 1955. Critics praised how she portrayed Judy's feelings in the teenage rebellion film. Natalie struggled to get this part. Director Nicholas Ray thought she couldn't play a rebellious teen because she had previously played innocent youngsters. He tried Debbie Reynolds, but Natalie persisted. He even told him she was pregnant. When Natalie earned the part, she worked hard to prepare, but things got messy behind the scenes. She started dating 43-year-old filmmaker Rye at 16. Although it was considered as part of her role devotion, she subsequently acknowledged it was unpleasant and wrong. Filming Rebel Without a Cause was hard. During production, Natalie and Dennis Hopper had a vehicle accident, but Natalie was unharmed. It boosted the film's edge. James Dean, the primary actor, perished in a car accident during filming. Natalie was outstanding as Judy. She gave the character depth and heart, impressing audiences and critics. She was nominated for Best Supporting Actress at the 1,956 Oscars, but lost. It proved her Hollywood star potential. As the most promising newbie, she earned a Golden Globe that year. Natalie gained opportunities from this success. Her 1,961 films, Splendor in the Grass and West Side Story, were blockbusters. Her character, Deanie, in Splendor in the Grass was a young woman struggling. Natalie worked hard for this profession, studying people in psychiatric facilities. Her bathtub takedown was so intense that it was captured in one take. Natalie was nominated for another Oscar for Best Actress after the film's success. She then played Maria, a Puerto Rican girl in love with a rival gang in West Side Story. Her singing was dubbed, but her acting was lauded, and the film won 10 Oscars, including Best Picture. These two films made Natalie a Hollywood superstar at 23. Natalie played a woman with an unwanted pregnancy in Love with the Proper Stranger, 1963. The film addressed abortion, which Hollywood rarely did at the time, making it innovative. Natalie received a third Oscar nomination for her impromptu and dramatic abortion scene. Natalie spent $175,000 to cancel her Warner Brothers contract in 1966, since she didn't like her parts despite her fame. She rejected famous films like Barefoot in the Park because Natalie Wood's 1,969 roles in Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice changed her career. After 3 years away from movies, her reappearance was extraordinary, and the film, released on September 17, 1969, was an instant blockbuster. A later correspondent slashes reply saying, quote, "Pitt earning $31. Natalie played daring, modern Carol Sanders who explored open relationships. Her film performance garnered her a Golden Globe nomination for Best Actress. Natalie switched from big movies to TV in the 1970s to spend more time with her family and due to industry changes. Her first major TV project was the 1973 Affair, which starred a married woman having an affair. It was a hit with 30 million viewers. She starred in the 1979 miniseries From Here to Eternity, a tremendous deal. Her performance earned Natalie her first Golden Globe for Best Actress after 7 nominations. She played Maggie in a 1976 TV adaptation of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, which critics praised because Elizabeth Taylor had performed the role earlier. After marrying Robert Wagner again in 1972 after 10 years and focusing on her family, she only made 4 movies in the 1970s, a major difference from her previous active schedule. She appeared in several 1950s and 1960s films, but her 1981 sci-fi thriller Brainstorm was melancholy. Natalie played a scientist developing a human experience recording machine. The movie uses exciting new technologies like 70mm film to make scenes more realistic. Natalie died at 43 on November 29, 1981, during filming. Her death halted production after she finished most of her scenes. The company sought to stop the film to obtain insurance money, but the filmmaker persevered to finish it as an homage. Natalie's sister acted as a body double. In 1983, over 2 years later, its extraordinary effects and ideas were lauded despite its poor box office performance. Brainstorm became a cult classic and an influential science fiction film. Natalie Wood's first marriage to Robert Wagner was Hollywood perfection. She met Wagner at 10 and told her mother she wanted to marry him. Natalie was 18 when they started dating and fell in love. The couple married in Scottsdale, Arizona on December 28, 1957, as everyone called them Hollywood's golden pair. They were perfect. Robert's acting career was struggling while Natalie's was thriving. They split on June 20, 1961 due to conflict. The divorce was finalized April 22, 1962. Natalie dated Warren Beatty after the breakup. They fought often, which Natalie dubbed chaotic, while Robert grappled with his affections for Natalie. Friend and actor Robert Redford introduced Natalie to British producer Richard Gregson, her second husband. They married in a California Russian Orthodox church on May 30th, 1969, after 3 years of dating. Things started well. After her first marriage and separation with Beatty, Natalie suffered mental health issues. She felt safer with Richard. Their daughter Natasha was born in September 1970, making Natalie delighted. Their joy was short-lived. Richard felt left out when Natalie focused on being a mom, so he had an affair with Natalie's friend. Natalie kicked out her secretary and divorced him on August 4, 1971 because she was angry. Their marriage terminated April 12, 1972. After their divorce, Natalie and Robert Wagner continued their narrative. They reconciled after almost 10 years. Robert married actress Marion Marshall and Natalie to Richard Gregson by then. After becoming single again in early 1972, they reconnected in January and fell in love again. Natalie was astonished by how quickly their relationship progressed. Friends advised her to ease down, but she felt like she and Robert had grown. She imagined Robert had become the man she always wanted throughout their time apart. On July 16, 1972, they married again on the Malibu Anka yacht Ramblin' Rose. The ceremony was romantic and special, and their second marriage appeared stronger. Robert was a wonderful stepfather to Natasha after having Courtney in 1974. In 1981, Natalie Wood perished at sea on a vacation to Catalina, ending their happiness. Island, she boarded the Splendor with her husband Robert Wagner, co-star Christopher Walken, and Captain Dennis Davern. Despite expecting more pals, only 4 showed up. The expedition began quietly on November 27th when they departed Marina del Rey and anchored at Avalon, a small island settlement. Natalie, Robert, and Christopher shopped and drank drinks ashore while Dennis waited on the boat. In bad weather the next day, Wagner moved the yacht to Two Harbors, a quieter place. It was cold, windy, and rainy with rough waters, not ideal for a weekend getaway. Evening, the group traveled to 5 p.m. Two Harbors' only restaurant, Doug's Harbor Reef, opened. Started drinking heavily. Champagne, wine, and cocktails were enough to get everyone inebriated by 10:30 p.m. The restaurant personnel could tell they were drunk because they were shouting and threw a glass against the wall. Restaurant manager, anxious about their safety, contacted harbor police officer to make sure they got back to their yacht safely. They utilized a small dinghy named. A toxicology testing found no alcohol in Natalie's blood when she returned to the Splendor. Her 14% intoxication, almost twice the legal limit for driving, was crucial to diagnosing what happened that night. Wagner last saw Wood around 10:45 p.m., told a different tale. After she went to bed, he heard Wood and Wagner shouting loudly on the deck about 11:05 p.m. Wagner told him to get off the boat, and everything disappeared. Marilyn Wayne, a boater nearby, heard a woman crying for help almost simultaneously. The voice repeated, "Help me, someone, please help me, I'm drowning," for 15 minutes. Dad and Wayne's accounts of the cries seem similar, raising suspicions. After the noise stopped, DAV found Wagner alone on the deck. He looked scared, sweaty, and untidy. Wagner informed him Natalie was vanished. Wagner's odd behavior has been suspicious since Natalie declared, "I'm afraid of dark water." Many don't understand why Natalie left the boat alone at night. Davern stated they discovered Natalie was missing at 11:05 p.m. hours late, but no one contacted for aid until 1:30 a.m., not until 3:30 a.m. That Coast Guard was called. It's over 4 hours after she disappeared. Her body was located by rescue boat captain Roger Smith, who didn't know she was gone until 5:11 a.m. She probably cried for rescue for hours, Smith said. These delays could have saved her, I've always thought. Even stranger, Davern said Wagner urged him not to use the yacht's floodlights to find her. Wagner reportedly stated, "We don't want to alert all these people. This choice has been criticized for years." Her body was found about 8 a.m. the morning after. About a mile from the boat, she floated face down. Her nightgown, red jacket, and blue wool socks were on. Prince Valiant, the yacht's dinghy, washed up on rocks. Experts believe Natalie may have hung on to the dinghy before drowning, but no one knows for sure. Natalie's body was recovered by Roger Smith, who said her fingers were still pliable when she was hauled from the water, indicating she had perhaps been alive for hours. Her autopsy revealed arm and leg injuries and a cheekbone scrape. Some thought she battled before falling into the water, since her arm bruising looked like a defense wound. 0.4% of her body was damaged by painkillers, motion sickness medicines, and alcohol, which may have made her shaky and impaired her judgment, causing her to tumble. Her coroner, Dr. Thomas Noguchi, ruled she drowned accidentally the next day. He said she probably collapsed trying to get on the dinghy and struggled to climb up. Scratches on the dinghy supported this, but some wondered why she left the yacht at night. Noguchi then admitted he forgot to gather nail scrapings to prove a struggle. Many questions remained about Natalie Wood's death. Reopening the case was announced by the LASD on November 18, 2011. This was because Splendor Captain Dennis DAV revealed in a 2009 book and interviews that he had lied in 1,981 . He heard Natalie and Robert Wagner having a heated quarrel that night. Lieutenant John Corona, who led the investigation, said the police didn't take this lying seriously. Investigators reported credible tips from several sources. Since 1981, forensic technology had advanced, giving them optimism of finding new clues to solve the case. Their yacht Wagner, Wan, and Davern interviews resumed. New witnesses with horrifying accounts emerged during the investigation. By February 2018, detectives interviewed approximately 100 persons. They included John Payne and Marilyn Wayne, who heard a woman shouting, "Help me, please help me," on a boat near the Splendor that night. "Help me!" At midnight, cries came from the Splendor, and they heard a drunk man say, "Okay, honey, we'll get you." Natalie and Wagner's 12-year-old neighbor shared a disturbing memory. Natalie came to his house scared and saying Wagner was going to kill her. She even stayed the night. If genuine, this memory suggested Natalie and Wagner had unspoken issues. Big things happened in August 2012. Natalie Wood's death certificate modified. For years it said she drowned. Now it says she died of a heart attack. After months of inquiry, it proved that more people believe Natalie Wood's death wasn't an accident. Over time, Robert Wagner's account of the night she died has altered so much that people are doubting him and wondering if he was involved. Wagner said Wood initially went to bed at 10:45 p.m. He asserted on November 28, 1981, that he didn't know she was missing until he found her. This story ended quickly, and things changed. Natalie's mom scheduled a Hollywood hotel meeting with Douglas, a renowned star. That night, something went wrong badly. When Natalie returned to the car, she was upset and her clothing were everywhere. She whispered hurriedly to their mom, Lana, who was barely a child. Lana sensed something horrible had happened but didn't know what. Natalie confessed to Lana years later. "He hurt me, Lana." Her words revealed her pain. This story shows that even wealthy individuals can hide old hurts. It also portrays Hollywood's less glamorous past. For young artists seeking to break in, it seemed ideal.